1, 2. Tuesday, 9 a.m. Briefing meeting with Department Research Team 32, who are late. Chairing the meeting, myself, Keith Bilk, Under-Secretary to the Department Committee. With me were scheduled to be Research Team Oscar Proud, Laszlo Wolf and Victor Gooch. I am now passing this week's briefing notes to where Mr. Proud was scheduled to have been sitting. The Department Committee has directed me to instruct Proud, Wolf and Gooch to conduct an RB, researched brainstorm on the improvement of public transportation in the United Kingdom. On my desk by 6. Team 32 still absent. Hard to know what to say. Mary had a little lamb. Her fleece was white as snow.
Sorry, we're late.
Hold on a second. And everywhere that Mary went, the lamb was sure to go. Team 32 have now arrived at 9:01 afternoon, gentlemen.
Victor got stuck in an argument with Alan Wall from Philosophy Division about how long a piece of string is.
It's 2 feet. I've got one. I've shown him it, he's seen it, and he's measured it. I cannot believe he won't back down.
What have you got for us, Keith?
I have already explained that. It's on the tape.
Can you not explain it again?
Rules are rules. Excuse me, gentlemen. Excellent. I'm currently high bidder in this week's department auction.
What are they selling off this time?
Oh, it's just a little ornament for the garden.
Mrs. Keith will love that.
That is hypothetical, Victor.
Keith, where do you get the money to keep bidding for all this stuff?
It's not about how much you bid, it's how you bid. You wait, come 6 o'clock, this baby is on its way to Shay Keith.
Oh, is your bidding name Spider-Man?
Briefing meeting terminated.
The department. Far from the gaze of an unsuspecting public and undiscovered by government, the department has been secretly running the country since, I don't know, it's been ages. Deep within its labyrinthine headquarters works a dedicated 3-man think tank. Oscar Proud, historian, pedant and baritone. Victor Gooch, legal parasite and pseudo-depressive. And Laszlo Wolf, scientific hypothesist and right-arm medium. Each week, they're required to investigate possible solutions to one of the nation's major problems. Each week, your future is in their hands.
Hold on, I've got to get a coffee. Yeah. Why do we have to deal with transport now? We've never had to bother going near it before.
Columbia.
Well, that's because the department's had a guy locked in an office conducting a major investigation for the last 100 years. He hadn't been answering his phone for a while, and they found out yesterday that he died 78 years ago.
Black.
Had he come up with anything useful?
No sugar.
Apparently he'd just drawn a penis. They reckon he died pretty soon after that.
Granulated.
One of the balls was unfinished.
That is very sad.
Yeah, and we're still no closer to successful teleporting despite 4,000 years of heavily funded research.
Things are pretty bad. The only train to arrive on time in the last year was a 2:15 London to Newcastle service in October, but it later turned out that it was baked in a studio. You really love coffee, don't you, Victor?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I love that bean.
Right, let's get back to the office. Laszlo, give Victor a hand with his massive coffee. As a result of which, the whole transport system is on the point of meltdown. Now, we should just be in time for the travel news.
The M1 is very slow moving, as are M2 to 90. On the rails, a normal service is running, so passengers are advised to seek alternative forms of transport. Joanne Sales, 5 Live Travel.
Public transport is totally demoralised.
Can we not sidestep this whole issue by just lowering public expectations? And if people don't expect to arrive on time or alive, then when and if they do achieve either of those, they'll see it as a bonus.
You're right. If kids get their train sets with broken rails, on-site ambulances and empty buffet trolleys, then when they grow up, the real rail system will seem like a Japanese dream world.
Yeah, let's call that Plan B.
I'm happy with that. I'd have taken Plan B at the start of the day.
It is the start of the day. Sit back down. You can't just polish this turd and then sweep it back under the carpet.
No.
Transport's not just inconveniencing people, it's damaging the whole economy.
Testify. The last national personnel audit we did showed that employees currently spend the first 4 hours of the working day calming down from their journey in, then have lunch, then spend the rest of the day psyching themselves up for the journey home.
Exactly. Right. Let's have half an hour for research, a couple of goes on the quiz machine, and then back to the office to sort this mess out.
Attention department employees. Would the person or persons responsible for removing the particle from the particle accelerator please replace it as a matter of some urgency?
Don't press the screen unless you know the answer.
Could have sworn it was Daley Thompson.
It was Charles Dickens.
That was Thompson. I'm sorry, if you can do 10 different athletic events, you could write a book.
Yeah, but that wasn't the question, was it, Victor? The question was, who invented...
Enough. Your pound has gone. You can't get it back.
Oh, what's first in the brief?
Public confidence. Confidence in public transport has never been lower.
Hell yeah. At the moment, when you buy a ticket, you're basically making a leap of faith akin to Jesus stepping over the side of a boat saying, "This had better work, I am a non-swimmer, and those sharks look pretty hungry."
So how do we win back people's trust in transport?
Well, firstly, we need openness and honesty. According to my research, people wouldn't mind delays nearly as much if the announcements on trains were frank and truthful.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We apologise for the late running of today's service. This is due to arrogance, bad management and shameless profiteering. You'll all arrive late, following several hours in insultingly uncomfortable conditions, all for a frankly humiliating price. We trust we have been as unhelpful and discourteous as humanly possible in our operation of what amounts to racketeering on the rails, safe in the knowledge that you have no option but to use our pitiful excuse for a service for the foreseeable future, you miserable sods. Now, off!
That might not so much pour water on the flames as pour more flames on the flames, Oscar.
Well, it's only a start, Victor. Transport still needs to appear to be accountable to the public. You're a bit of a specialist at this kind of thing.
No, I'm a lot of a specialist.
Well, specialise then.
I will. Watch me dance. If you want accountability, you have to be seen to be genuinely punishing these failing companies. It's not enough just to give them massive salaries and bail them out financially whenever anything goes wrong. For whatever reason, that's simply not motivating them enough to improve.
Why not?
Nobody knows.
No, punishment's out. Prisons have proved it doesn't work. We'll just create a cycle of failure.
OK, if you're not going to punish these companies and you still want to placate the public, then we need to give them something that at least looks like accountability and do it in a form they understand and are entertained by.
Our next award is for liability for the rail crash at Reigate in September of last year. Rail crashes are an important part of our national heritage, and our three nominees tonight have each led the field in cutting corners, running red lights and buck passing. And the nominees are Rail Track,
their third nomination in as many years, still yet to win total blame.
Thames Trains,
A favourite. What a great way to crown a glittering career if they won tonight.
and Jarvis.
Jarvis, of course, a previous winner.
And the winner is... Jarvis!
And don't they deserve it? Look at his face. Just look at his face. Yes, that says it all. He must be getting used to this kind of thing, but as he said to me last time, it's one thing to win responsibility, it's another thing to retain it, and retain it he has.
Woo! Oh, fantastic. I cannot believe it. This is amazing. There are so many people to thank. I'd like to thank obstructive bureaucracy. I'd like to thank irresponsible cost-cutting. I'd like to thank the Conservative administration of the 80s, without whom none of this would have been possible. Thanks, guys. And most of all, I'd like to thank the great British public who have kept supporting us like lambs to the slaughter. I salute you. I really hope I haven't forgotten anyone. I'm king of the world!
Victor, that's a nice idea, and if I'm not mistaken, that will be ITV on the line right now. But if you think you can accountabilise every single accident into one yearly awards ceremony, then you are throwing all your eggs into one very big fan.
Did you just say accountabilise?
No.
Well, if you don't go with that, you're going to have to fork out for a rolling 24-hour-a-day public inquiry.
Next case, please, Mr. Gleeson.
The derailment of the 735 from God Manchester to Harrow.
Very well. What are the possible causes in this case?
Standard 5, snow, leaves, swerving to avoid a cat, physics in general, or the immovable hand of fate.
Very well. Fold them up and pass the hat.
There you go, sir. Let me state for the record that the coroner has his eyes closed.
And it's hand of fate. Case closed. Next case, please, Mr. Gleeson.
The derailment of the 740 from God Manchester to Harrow.
Hat, please.
If I've learnt one thing from the law, and I have, then it's that it's always best to pin the blame on one individual. Legally, there is no reason why we can't just put a clause in all train drivers' contracts which states that they are the sole party at fault in any given accident.
Yeah, but this is all too negative, Victor.
Say my name.
The staff have got enough on their plates as it is. Laszlo, you took over personnel when Basil had his little incident. What do you reckon?
What we need is a real modern leader, someone inspirational, dynamic and media-friendly. Candidate 1, dictators. Yes, you've got to look the other way during some of their wackier schemes, but they sure love punctuality.
Why don't we just appoint a travel czar?
They tried that with crime and drugs and it didn't really work.
Well, that's because they weren't real czars. I want a travel czar appointed by God and then massacred by his people.
It's a noble dream, Victor, with the emphasis on dream. The department have a no-dictators policy, and have had since we had to hush up Baden-Powell's Cub Scout coup of 1909. 4,000 dead. Woggles everywhere.
Oh, well, then, by process of elimination, this only leaves us with football managers, the King Solomons of the 21st century.
Right, shut the door. What is happening out there? What the is going on out there? Dave, you know how to drive a train. Get out there and drive it!
Yes, boss.
Mandy, your buffet trolley is a shambles. Trevor, you are doing all right out there on the buses. The 183 is not an easy route, and you're doing it well. Just don't let the taxis cut you up. Use your physical advantage, kid.
All right, boss.
Where's Tony? Tony! You idiot! You wouldn't know how to punch a ticket if it punched itself! You're coming off! Pedro!
Pedro.
Pedro!
Pedro.
Get your uniform on and start warming up.
Ponte el uniforme y calienta.
I am sending you on.
Ahora vas a entrar tú.
You can do this, son.
Hijo mío, tú puedes hacerlo.
It's not like on the
No es
continent.
como en el continente.
Just punch and
Pica
hand
el
back.
billete y devuelve.
Punch and hand
Pica el
back.
billete y devuelve.
Now let's get out there and do them!
Good. Well, that's staff morale hauled up by its nostrils. Next, funding. Victor, is there any money in the public coffers?
No. We even sold the coffers.
Any other ideas?
Well, in an ideal world, we'll just sell the system to the highest bidder. Again.
But can we really expect the public to accept meaningless, faceless corporo brands in which they have no vested interest controlling an important part of their lives?
Let me just check the latest figures. Yes, we can. But transport is different. People want to feel it's something we all communally own, like prisons and the Queen.
Oh, that's the problem, Oscar. The public owns nothing, not even the roads. I've checked the legal papers to see who actually does own the roads, and it turns out it's still the Romans. Now the Italian government wants them back. The B243 is currently in pieces on a ship and is going to be reassembled on the outskirts of Naples.
Where it belongs, in its original context.
We're going to have to use the PPP.
The public-private partnership, isn't that just a technical term for the taxpayer being bent over a shopping trolley and banged roughly from behind by a man with a cigar in his mouth?
No. Well, yes, but I meant the real PPP, the private-private partnership. The private sector's always got plenty of spare money from, public handouts and tax evasion.
Victor!
What?
You can't carve up networks. Fragmentation doesn't work.
Fine, we'll go straight to the public. I'm not suggesting raising taxes!
Sorry, Victor.
Good. They already whinge enough about where their petrol tax goes.
I just tell them it goes into keeping petrol cheap. They'll be confused into a state of acceptance.
But there are other ways of getting money out of the public. Congestion charges and road tolls seem to be working, but there aren't nearly enough of them. We need to roll them out across the whole country. Every road, 24 hours a day, £5.
That'd be popular, Victor.
I am not paid to be popular. Here is another one. Britain loves memorabilia. My calculations suggest that selling commemorative plates depicting rail crashes could raise in excess of £400 billion a year.
Is that a ballpark figure?
Yep.
How big is that ballpark?
It's big. It's a big ballpark.
Well, pass me my wallet. Excellent. Right, next we're due to look at how to make the transport system safe.
What?
Well, safer.
Is a better target, Oscar.
Reach for the shelf.
Are you sure we can't get away with not bothering?
Yeah, no one's going to notice. The media couldn't care less about road accidents unless they involve kids in a coach. It's only train crashes that get journalists off their lazy arses.
So, Victor, how much will it cost to make transport 100% safe?
A lot.
Oh, well, never mind. Lunch it is.
Are we going for a sit-down meal, or is it sandwiches by the quiz machine?
Attention department employees. Would all employees who don't know about art but know what they like please report to the aesthetics division?
The answer is C. Get in there.
How do you know so much about 1950s Test cricket?
I'd rather you didn't know.
Oh, hello, Keith.
Hello, Oscar. How goes?
Well, things are a bit tense. This one's for the big £2.
Right, which actress starred as Michelle Scully, Victor, you're in,
Come on.
in Australian soap opera Neighbours?
Step aside, gentlemen.
Keith, don't you touch that screen.
I think you'll find it's D.
Oh, no! No!
Keith, you have done something terrible.
It was Kate Kelty! It was Kate Kelty! That is unforgivable, Keith!
How do you know so much about Neighbours, Victor?
I'd rather you didn't know. Keith, I cannot look at you!
I really thought it was Carla Bonner.
That is Stephanie Scully!
Apologies.
Not accepted! Ah!
Calm down, Victor.
Are you still high bidder on that auction, Keith?
A general who reveals his battle plans is a general of a predominantly dead army.
Right. What is it that you're bidding on, Spider-Man?
Forget it, Oscar. I'm not new to this. Oh, and here's a quiz question for you. When is your report going to be on my desk? By A, 6 o'clock, B, 6 o'clock, or C, 6 o'clock? Which one?
Let's go, lad.
I'm going to have to rush you. The answer was B.
Attention department employees. Following a detailed investigation, the Divine Analysis Division regret to confirm that God has never actually saved the Queen. Any upcoming instances wherein Her Majesty is in need of saving will be judged on a case-by-case basis.
No, I can't find any current bids under Spider-Man.
Oh, this one must be him then. Incredible Hulk.
Well, he is impossible to predict, isn't he?
What's he bidding for?
It's an artefact from the department's Luftwaffe Scarecrow project. Listen to this. Originally erected at Dover in 1939, this 20-foot statue of Neville Chamberlain has the capability to shout 15 different pacifying or appeasing phrases over a radius of 25 miles. English language version.
Are you thinking what I'm thinking?
What, put in bids to force the price up?
That is better. That is better than what I had.
I've already done it.
And has he responded?
Like a fish on a hook. I'll just stick it on automatic bid, and then we'll bail out at 1 minute to 6.
So, what is next in the brief?
Building the transport infrastructure. Now, Britain used to be great at infrastructure, but somewhere along the line we lost our golden touch. I checked in the archives how we used to get our colonies to build their railways, roads and bridges so fast, and apparently it had quite a lot to do with whacking them with big sticks.
So, who's going to build it all? If you use British workers, you'd better have a pretty liberal attitude towards deadlines. Let's face it, the only recorded instance of us successfully building a tunnel on time was when one end was under a vaulting horse and the other came out in the middle of a forest. We've got to look overseas.
Oh, well, they already tried that. They got the Viet Cong in to sort the tubes out in the 80s, but we've never been able to find the entrances to the stations they built. Somewhere in London, there is a whole brand new underground system, but short of napalming the West End, there's not a lot we can do to find it.
One phone call, that is all it'd take. An awkward phone call, yes, but still just a phone call.
No, Victor, not yet.
Coward.
Anyway, our hands might well be tied on new infrastructure. Have a look at the next page in the brief.
What's it say?
Look at it.
Oh! Hippies! 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 Hippies!
What is it?
Environmental damage.
Hippies!
Oh, do they want more or less?
Interestingly, it doesn't actually say. Laszlo, as the self-appointed Sultan of Science, what do you think?
Well, much as it irks Victor for me to say it,
Hippies!
they've got a point. If we don't act now, within 40 years the environment will have disappeared completely. And transport is one of the three main culprits for planet destroyage.
What are the other two?
Big business and government.
Yeah, well, why don't they do something about it?
They're busy.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, so, sociologically and environmentally, we've got to get people to start taking individual responsibility for their own transport choices.
Hey?
The painful truth is, we have to get people to use their cars less.
Oh, can't someone else do it?
Ah, come off it, Oscar. I mean, scientifically, it's not the cars that do the damage. It's the engines. People should just switch off their engines whenever they're going downhill.
We've no choice. We need to inspire people to leave their cars at home. Now, what motivates people more than anything else?
Motivation.
You have to be more specific.
OK, but I was right.
No, what most motivates the average human being from the cradle to the grave is being told off. If we can make sure people are requisitely chastised for unnecessary journeys, we might just make a difference.
Engine on. Handbrake disengaged. Oh, back again, are you? And where is it that we're going now, exactly? The shops that are, what, 200 metres away? Why stop when we get there? Why don't we do another couple of laps around the block? Then maybe go and beat up a baby seal or something. Maybe chew off one of its flippers. You'd like that, wouldn't you, you monster? You fat, pathetic, heartless, world-hating, bad father. I hate you.
I'm sorry, I'll walk. It's just I work long hours and I want to...
You've left the engine on. No, I don't know why I bother.
Well, that will help cut down on the 90% of unnecessary journeys, but we're still left with that problem 10% that people simply have to make.
In which case, we need to minimise the amount of vehicles used by maximising the amount of people in them.
That is very much a pro-clown policy, Oscar.
Well, they've been effectively carpooling for years.
You're onto something here, Oscar. If we introduce a new asylum seeker class on public transport where people are crammed into the backs of lorries and asked to hang on to the bottoms of trains, we would cut traffic like a shot.
I'll put that on the maybe pile.
Anyway, in that case, one of the biggest causes of congestion is the school run. Parents in massive cars waiting for their massive children to drag their derivative pastel collages across the playground. Make them walk.
You know how parents will react to that, Laszlo. I can't let my children walk to school. They'll get abducted, run over or tired. The way to get cars off the road and to keep parents happy is to make the school run exactly that, a run.
Well, here we are, the school run from Spag Avenue to Broad Oak Primary. It's about to get underway. And the Duggans look very quickly out of the front door there. Yes, it's a false start. Mrs. Duggan clearly shoved her children out of the door before the gun, and she's on a warning.
She looked tight there. The tension of the occasion is definitely getting to her. If she goes again early, those kids are going to have another day in front of the TV.
They're all back in their houses, ready to go again, and they're away cleanly this time. Mrs. Duggan's son, Simon, has got up to an absolute flyer. Or Mrs. Larkin hit a wheelie bin with little Timmy's lunchbox, and the corned beef sandwiches have gone everywhere.
She's going to struggle to make that time back up.
Well, the current leader is single dad Paul Friedman, who's strapped his 3 children around his body. He's pumping his arms and legs like his weekday custody depends on it.
Superb technique.
So the stagger unwinds. Friedman has had a glorious bend, and the leaders are approaching the school gates now. Through goes Mr. Friedman into first place. Second comes Mrs. Duggan, and third Mrs. Chowdhury.
That's a tremendous performance for a woman who's 8 months pregnant. In fact, I think she's clocked a personal best.
Well, unfortunately, Brendan, she hasn't. It's wind-assisted, and there it is, the Friedman kids first in, already learning some algebra, as the Williamses trail in at the back of the pack. We'll see you at 3:45 for the pickup.
Our next problem is that we're going to come up against a very powerful body who don't want people to use their cars less.
Oh, I know this. Is it the British public?
It's a good guess, Victor, but it's not right.
Oh, well, I've had a lovely day.
Laszlo?
Is it the oil companies?
Correct. 5 points.
Yes! That's 10 for the month. The fact is that we need to find alternative forms of transport powered by alternative forms of energy. And they've got to be good. And the oil companies have already discredited electric cars by making them shit.
How about a 400-mile-long train? London to Edinburgh in no minutes. It would be a 17-day walk, but that won't show up on the punctuality stats.
Laszlo, please, please, please come up with something better than that. Lots of love, Oscar Proud.
All right. Well, Oscar, the world has already provided us with hundreds of bold alternative forms of transport. The one stumbling block is that the public would need to be slightly more adventurous.
How are you getting to work today, love?
Oh, I haven't decided yet. I was going to get parachuted in by the new RAF City shuttle service, but Barry tried that yesterday and he landed in a quarry 6 miles from the office.
Well, it was a bit windy yesterday. Why don't you swing in on the monkey bars?
No, I've got to take my laptop.
Can't you get a lift with Terry and his hamster ball?
No, he runs too fast. You just end up getting your head banged and bouncing around. I think I'll use a cannon.
Oh, love, don't. You know I don't like you firing yourself to work.
Oh, it'll be fine, don't worry. The conditions are good.
Oh, well, be careful. Bye then, love.
Can you light the fuse?
Sure, love.
Hello? I'm in the cannon. I should be there in about 3 minutes. Yeah, can you open the boardroom window? Cheers, Vernon.
Point your toes. Don't forget dinner at the Thomases tonight!
Good work. Almost too good. The better your system is, the more people want to use it, and you're going to end up with the same old problems 10 years down the line.
But aren't we moving more and more towards dissuading people from travelling altogether?
Well, it's certainly looking that way. In fact, that could be the way to fix transport. Keep people where they are the whole time. It would ease congestion, it would cost less, and it would help the environment.
Well, the Israelis are already the front runners on this one. Booby traps instead of cat's eyes, tanks as traffic lights, massive walls in the middle of roads instead of no massive walls in the middle of roads.
Yeah, the Israeli government might have their critics, but their transport policy in the occupied territories is one of the most environmentally progressive in the world. CO2 emissions have plummeted on the West Bank.
And their crowning glory is making Palestinians fill out application forms whenever they want to go anywhere. It is brilliant. I've been working on the British version. Question 1, where are you going? Question 2, why are you going there? Question 3, come on, there must be a better reason than that. Question 4, get in the back of the van.
Come on, we need to take a much more positive approach to this. We can't just scare people out of travelling. We need to make them want to stay at home.
All right, well, how about getting local radio and TV to launch a series of withering smear campaigns against other towns? That way people won't want to move.
I said be positive.
I think I was, wasn't I?
You weren't.
Well, now you're being negative.
Yes, but with the long-term goal of being positive.
No.
Yes. All we need to do is make sure people never need to leave the house and can get everything at home. And with the postal service, there's already a perfectly good infrastructure in place.
Can you sign for this?
What is it?
It's Mrs. Atkins.
Oh, it's my mother. I wasn't expecting her till tomorrow.
Well, do you want her or not?
Let me out! I need to take my pills!
It's just really inconvenient today. We're on holiday.
Oh, very nice. What have you gone for this year?
Family package to Spain. It's not going too well. There's 5 guys in the bathroom leering at my teenage daughter. The food's been a real disappointment, and some chancellor keeps trying to throw a donkey off the roof.
Well, what are we going to do with your mum?
Can't you just pretend I wasn't in and leave her at the depot? I'll pick her up tomorrow afternoon.
Let me out! I'll pass myself to the shops! I'm independent!
Oh, all right. I'll take her back to the depot.
Thanks very much.
Oh, my kidney!
Great! I think that we're agreed that the way to solve Britain's transport problems is to keep people exactly where they are. Good.
Nail them to the floor.
Metaphorically, yes.
Not necessarily.
Good. We're done.
Oh, but what about that Neville Chamberlain?
What's the champagne rule, Laszlo? Once the cork pops...
The talking stops.
Cheers.
Can we have some champagne as well, Oscar?
When you bring some in, I imagine you can. Cheers.
Oh.
Right, put the disc up the chute. The time is 6:01.
Auction over.
Oh, no. No, Laszlo, tell me that Keith has won the auction.
Well, he pushed us all the way, Oscar, but it looks like at the death we just pipped him with a final bid of just under £13,000. And when I say we, I do, of course, mean you.
Oscar Prayer?
Yes?
Sign here.
Well, it's probably tax deductible, and it's a piece of history.
Pretty shit piece of history, Oscar.
But history nonetheless.
Well, where are you going to put him?
I'll just leave him outside the front gate and let local teenagers do what comes naturally.
Very clever. We'll be in the middle of a roundabout before you can say, where's my massive Neville Chamberlain gone? Mind you, he can shout across 25 miles.
Ah, that's fine. I'll just shove the double glazing and pump up the Rachmaninoff off.
Hey, look! His eyes spin round!
And I will have my peace in this life or the next.
The Department was written and performed by Chris Addison, John Oliver and Andy Zaltzman, with Peter Dickson, Matthew Holness, Lucy Montgomery and Richard Grocock. Paul Dickinson, Brendan Foster and Joe Sale were played by Brendan Foster, Joe Sale and Paul Dickinson irrespectively. Produced by John Naismith. The Department is an Avalon production for BBC Radio 4. Now, go to sleep.